Hello, I'm State Senator Jim Timilty, and welcome to Beacon Hill Update, a periodic cable show where I try to bring some of the happenings on Beacon Hill to you, the good people of the Bristol and Norfolk. And today I'm joined by a good friend and a fantastic member of the Patrick administration, Secretary Coleman Nee, the Secretary of Veteran Services. Thanks very much, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a very important time of year, well, certainly the fall, where we pay attention to our veterans. I think we should do it every day, and certainly you do, 9 to 5 and beyond that. But when we come around Veterans Day and Memorial Day, it's very important for us in government, but those of us who are regular citizens, to make a special effort to thank our veterans. And I'd like to have you on the show today to discuss some of the things that we're doing in government for the veterans that we have and the veterans who are soon to be, who are future veterans, and also those who are returning from conflicts overseas.
Great.
So thanks very much. My experience with the Veterans Office was right when I got into the Senate in 2005 with the passage of the Welcome Home Bill, which I think was very important. And subsequent to that, I think we've had many improvements to our veteran services, as you've seen the soldiers who come back, and then there are certain challenges that they may face, but also some opportunities that they face with their professional development. And we've made a special attention throughout our governmental service to make sure that we're doing the appropriate things for our heroes who are returning from service.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on, Mr. Chairman. I think when you look at Massachusetts compared to the rest of the nation, by far, we're a leader in serving our veterans and their families of all generations, and that's in no short measure due to the efforts of the legislature and the passage of the Welcome Home Bill. After that, Welcome Home 2, the passage of the Valor Act, which you all did last year, and even the new recent legislation which is coming up, Valor Act 2. All of that is some of the most comprehensive and most complete pieces of legislation that deal with issues affecting veterans, not just for coming home today from Iraq and Afghanistan, but the vast bulk of the veterans we have here in the Commonwealth, which are really our Vietnam vets, our Desert Storm vets, our Korean and our World War II vets.
And I think that's one of the things when you take a look at a program in the state as a legislator, somebody who works on it and works in partnership with your secretariat, with the Patrick administration. But we've been very fortunate to have some great chairs of the Veterans Committee, because in the legislature we like to put people with some experience on particular, you view 7,000 bills in the course of a year. It's a great way to do it through a committee process where you assemble just a few legislators to take a look at it and really drill down and see what they can come up with. And we've been very fortunate to have the chairman on the Senate side and chairman on the House side who have experience. Certainly Lieutenant Mike Rush, the senator from West Roxbury, who not only is a member of the armed services, but he also was somebody who was recently deployed for a year in Afghanistan. So somebody who has that type of experience working with you really provides a service. And in government, you're very happy when you can say we're the best, we're the first in the nation. I think a lot of us think of public schools, which we are, we're the best at, and higher ed and hospitals. But when you think of some other states like North Carolina or maybe California with the bases and a tremendous part of their population that has had military service, Massachusetts at the forefront is very proud, and you, as working in that secretariat for the last 7 or 8 years, has really provided our citizenry with something to be very proud of.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, and thank you. You cannot understate the importance that it's had with having members of your body, the Senate as well as in the House, who are not just passionate. There's a lot of passionate veteran advocates around the Commonwealth. You're one of them. But to have Senator Rush, who knows what it's like to be deployed, know what it's like to leave a young family, Representative Knott and Representative Paracella. We have a number of Representative Linda Dean Campbell. There's a number of veterans who are actually serving right now in state government, and they bring that personal perspective, and that's been extremely helpful for getting us to have policymakers understand the real world implications and the real world issues that veterans are facing. From our history and when we talk about leading the nation, we need to understand too that Massachusetts has always really led the nation in this regard. I mean, the laws that govern my office and my shop and the benefits that we provide through the vet service officers in the cities and towns, those were established right after the Civil War. We have been providing as a Commonwealth benefits to veterans since the French and Indian Wars,
Right.
and I think it's just sort of innate in the character of Massachusetts and in the spirit of our citizenry that we recognize that freedom isn't free, that young men and women deploy every single day and have for many, many generations, and that our societal contract with those folks is that you will go off and put yourself in dangerous situations and fight our wars, protect our security, and we will take care of you and your family when you return. And we've always respected that contract, and I think again, given the emphasis that the governor has placed on this, the emphasis Secretary Polanowitz has placed on this from Health and Human Services, himself a veteran, an Army veteran, and just the outstanding commitment that the Senate and the legislature has made to this effort, really is a great recipe for us to move forward and continue to lead the nation.
Well, Mr. Secretary, I think that the Patrick administration, that spirit of civic engagement, has really been very clear through all aspects of what he's done. But in particular, the reach out that we get from the military establishment, from our National Guard, been with you at various ceremonies throughout the Bristol and Norfolk, down in Attleboro, for that wonderful display for POWs, MIAs, and in the 9/11 tragedy. But also been at changing of command at some deployments at armories, and also the wonderful return of our soldiers. But having that constant contact with Major General Rice, the Adjutant General, and the invitations to go to those, it's very special. And I think what is so special is when I was at the 79th changing of command, the infantry down in Rehoboth, we were on Redway Plain, where they actually mustered for the King Philip War. I mean, so the tradition goes back to literally the founding of the colony. But as I was there and watching that wonderful, wonderful ceremony and being a very small part of it, there were many who were in uniform who I knew from other walks of life, whether they be police officers, firefighters, teachers. So it was very interesting to see, and a great lesson for me to understand that those heroes who are in uniform, when they go and serve us, that they have their own. In many respects, they have their own professions that they leave and have to come back to. So I think one of the areas where I'm very proud is through your leadership is how we work when they return to keep up with their professional development, to make certain that we understand their sacrifice and don't put them behind anybody who's here like myself in the Commonwealth 365. Sure. And on that side, I think that's a hidden part of a very successful government, and I've got to give you and your staff credit for that and the work that's ongoing. And as we say, these heroes who return to us, and what are we doing? What are we doing for them? Because in many respects, one of those deployments, we're seeing that you're not going to come back the same way you went over there.
No, you're not. I mean, and in many cases, people use the words post-traumatic stress a lot in areas. Most veterans come back don't have full-blown diagnosed post-traumatic stress. What most veterans have are readjustment issues, which is natural from serving for a year plus in a combat zone and coming back to a civilian life. And you're absolutely right about the Guard. Our National Guard are true citizen soldiers, and that's really been a hallmark of Massachusetts since its founding. As you said, the muster for King Philip's War. When we work very closely with the Guard, and General Rice does an outstanding job there, making sure that we're coordinated and helping his Guard members when they return. When we look at the numbers, Guard members and reservists are the most veterans that we've had deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan here in the Commonwealth. These folks have gone many cases, double, triple, some have gone 5, 6 times. They leave their lives, they leave their jobs, they take financial hits, their families miss them. I mean, there are issues associated with deployments that the general public doesn't normally consider. And we owe it to those folks as a Commonwealth. We owe it to help them. Less than 1% of our population actually serves in the military and deploys to combat zones. And, for the rest of us that are here, we really have an obligation to ensure that they get everything they need. And that starts in Norfolk and Bristol County. It starts with the vet service officers. Right. And you have some outstanding vet service officers in your district. People should know they can go down there to City Hall or Town Hall talk to a fellow veteran who understands them and who's been there. Apply if they're having financial difficulties or they need help with rent or heat or something along those lines. Apply for Chapter 115. See if you're eligible. If you're not, that's okay. There's multitudes of other benefits. We offer a web portal, massvetsadvisor.org. It's first in the nation. Fantastic resource for finding out what your benefits are. And then there's additional benefits. People also remember our dependents are eligible, even if the veteran herself is deceased. We offer an outstanding women's veterans network. Women are the fastest growing segment of our veterans population. In fact, I was with you, I think, 2 years ago. Unfortunately, our oldest woman veteran
Irene Davey.
passed. Yeah, Irene. She was. We were with her at her birthday, and that was quite an event. But we're very proud of our women vets, very proud of all of our veterans coming back, and we want them to know that it extends beyond yellow ribbons and parades. It extends to real benefits and real services and real resources. And if they're having difficulty accessing them, they should call my department, and we'll help them.
That's a hallmark of this administration is that type of engagement. We're going to go out. I think the governor showed it when he was out in campaigns in every community in the Commonwealth. And I like I say, when we can get a secretary to come down to the district and meet with the veterans, even for something as ceremonial as the oldest female veteran, who was a veteran of World War II and a wonderful lady, had left a very strong footprint on Attleboro and that area around. But as it is, we're going to pay attention to you when you come home. It's not just about the ceremonies. It's not just about the memorials and the dedications and the ribbon cuttings. But when it comes right down to what can government do for you. And as I say, when you can take a look at from a public policy perspective, that Massachusetts is the forefront, and this is not just anecdotal. This is not legislature and in government blowing its own horn and celebrating. But we get this from other veterans who come in and military officers who come in for ceremonies who remark that we're going to take what Massachusetts is doing and we're going to bring this around the country and model our programs after what we're doing here.
We've had a few programs that VA and other states have looked at as a national model. Our SAVE program is one. That's Statewide Advocacy for Vets Empowerment. Which is young veterans going out, doing outreach in the communities and finding fellow veterans, family members, helping them walk through the benefit system. Our SHARP program, which is a national model for how you engage homeless vets and keep them supported in supported housing and safe and supported housing, is really displaying better results for the number of homeless vets we've been able to house, but also keeping them housed longer and getting them to self-sufficiency. Our Women's Vets program. We're really proud of the engagement and the programming that we've been able to do. And again, a lot of that, I give a lot of credit to the legislature for the funding and the support that we need in order to be able to do our jobs. And you mentioned the governor, and the governor goes to ceremonial things, and he's at Veterans Day, and he's at some of the deployment ceremonies that he can make, and I know he's when the battle streamers come back to the State House here from the National Guard, he's there. But the governor's also there. The governor went to Iraq and Afghanistan. The governor met with these Guard members in theater. He met with their families when they come back. He knows their challenges. And the other thing, the governor, he doesn't talk about it that much. It's a sad thing to talk about, but the governor's there at every funeral. For everyone that's been killed in theater. And there's been more than I would venture to say he's probably been to more than 100 of them. And so he sees firsthand the impact and the effect that deployments have, and also the costs that we pay in terms of the ultimate costs that some of us pay for for our security and for our freedom. So he really gets that, and he wants to make sure, and it's my mission through Secretary Polanowitz to make sure that we're doing everything we can to care for and support those folks when they come back, especially in honor of those that have actually given their lives. Yeah,
it is clearly Memorial Day is the most solemn day on our nation's calendar, and that's very important. The governor has been there at every one, and I think one of the things we do in the Senate is around Memorial Day, the last session before Memorial Day, usually during budget, usually when we're negotiating the general appropriation, is that all the senators have plans to go out and do Memorial Day parades in their district wherever they can get. And based on the time, but that Thursday before we adjourn, we take time out of the day and you're there. We have a Senate session, and we break to do our own our own version of Memorial Day, where we read the names of all those soldiers that paid the ultimate sacrifice in our district. So it's an excellent reminder to us as legislators of that sacrifice, the importance of which, and to be there in the aftermath. And when we think of these small towns that I represent, in the big cities, there are some spectacular monuments to the various conflicts and various efforts. In Walpole Center, we have a French and Indian War down in Capron Park, and there's the newest one, a 9/11 one, but there's also Civil War, World War I, and I think one aggressive move, which I think is going to be very good for all 351 cities and towns, is your memorial commission that you're working on about making sure that there's the state can, in a fair and balanced way, make funds through a grant available for communities if they qualify for the upkeep of these memorials. I always like to say I represent a pretty good sports district where I have Gillette Stadium and I have the TPC, great venues for sports. But when the national cameras are there, oftentimes they go to Foxborough Town Common, because I think the country loves to see our bucolic small town New England life, and what's front and center right there at the Foxborough Common is some memorials to the different conflicts. So I think that's something that's another innovative program that the administration is working on, about providing a fair and balanced approach to memorial upkeep that doesn't go to the same communities all the time. And I've got to give you credit.
Yeah, this commission is really we're starting it, and we'll have more information on our website very soon about how to apply. But essentially, it'll be small grants, maybe up to $5,000. That people can apply for a memorial if it's in their city or town that needs upkeep, that needs refurbishing, that needs either relettering or re-stenciling or some masonry work or whatever. And it's the committee is 3 veterans that'll be deciding these things, and they'll be able to receive applications hopefully within the next month and a half or so, and be able to distribute those funds, get everything out by March. Which would be great, and it's perfect in time for spring construction and for when these things want to get done. Yeah, these memorials play an important role. I mean, they remind us. They remind us that again, when you did that Memorial Day ceremony in the State House, that was all post 9/11. The names that are read. If it had been all Massachusetts men and women, you'd still be in session 3 weeks later. But it's just post 9/11 at that point. But every senator, and I've been there, it's a very moving ceremony. I give Senator Brewer a lot of credit for putting that on. Every senator has a name.
Yeah.
They're not sharing any names. I mean, every single district in the legislature has been affected by the loss of someone in a combat operation through Iraq or Afghanistan. And again, it's important for us to not only remember those folks, but it's important for us to honor their sacrifice by treating their brothers and sisters who came home, making sure their families are taken care of for as well.
Yeah, we've learned quite a bit about what happened in past generation. I think we've moved in a direction that we can be very proud of, and that ceremony certainly from Senate President Murray, Senator Pangiatakis, Senator Brewer. So as that moves on, and I think it'll be a great tradition that will last for years, because a lot of what happens in the Senate is all based on history and tradition, and the many innovative programs. I'm looking forward to what you come up with in the Secretariat next. I mean, it must be very difficult, having set the bar so high, to continue to move on. But from the free tuition to our state schools for certain veterans that are coming back, to the bonus, the adjustment when a soldier comes back. There are so many different small ways that your secretariat, your administration, and your staff and yourself are working to improve the lives of veterans, to professionalize the veteran service officers, so that we're state of the art. And I can't thank you enough, and I don't envy the bar that you keep setting so hard. It's like a record. You always have to do a personal best.
Well, I'd love to take credit for it, but I'm the beneficiary of the most incredible staff in the world. And again, support we get, from the governor, from the Senate president, is unbelievable. And it just, even throughout the tough fiscal times that the Commonwealth has gone through, we've never had to experience any of the deep cuts that other agencies had, and that's purposeful. The governor and I think the legislature has a feeling that, while we're at war, especially where
Yes.
young men and women today are serving right now in Afghanistan in very dangerous situations. We need to show our commitment back home, and we'll show that commitment throughout the year, but especially around this time of year when we celebrate all veterans. And I also want to put in a plug, and I know you'll appreciate. We also have a birthday coming up for the United States Marine Corps on November
Right.
10th, and for all the Marines out there, happy birthday. It's a commitment we're going to continue to show, and again, with your support and with the support of the legislature, support of the governor, I think we look strong to continue to lead the nation and continue to keep our legacy secure.
Certainly, and as we've answered the country's call over the last 10 years, as the influx of veterans, new veterans, and returning veterans have come back to the Commonwealth, I think they've found themselves in very good hands, in great hands. The Patrick administration, yourself, Mr. Secretary, have done an extraordinary job, and I really appreciate your time here today to discuss some of the programs, and look forward to maybe having you out in the district or on
Absolutely.
a subsequent program to talk about your next fantastic program. But it's been a real pleasure, Mr. Secretary. I thank you
Senator,
very much
thank you very
for having
much.
me. I hope you enjoyed your time here on Beacon Hill Update. This is State Senator Jim Timilty with Secretary Coleman Nee signing off. Look forward to seeing you somewhere in the district soon. Thank you.